Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 16e and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And let's go and see how both these phones kind of compare. Now, here's the thing. What I will definitely tell you is that with the iPhone 16e, this is one of those types of phones that if I'm going to go through and pick up a device, I definitely do think the 16e is probably the better phone for the everyday average person. But I also look at a phone like an iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I think that's also a very, very decent phone for the most part too. Now, there's pros and cons between both, so we'll look at both these phones throughout this whole entire video. What I would definitely tell you though, is that if you're going to go through and pick up one of these types of phones, I think the iPhone 16e might be the better one, but we'll take a look at these throughout this whole entire video. If you want to pick up either one of these phones though, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the iPhone 16e originally came out, or the iPhone 11 Pro Max, let's start there. That phone originally came out in 2019. This phone on the front side is giving you a really decent display. It's a 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this is a pretty big panel. You're getting the notch up top, and I will definitely tell you this is a pretty good looking display panel for the most part. So it's a big panel. It's giving you some bigger type of bezels compared to a lot of phones nowadays, but it's really not like the ugliest thing in the world. And I do think this type of phone for the most part, there definitely could be uglier panels than this thing. So I think from that side, that's kind of one of the biggest takeaways here. Now, you are basically getting 60 Hz display on this thing too, which isn't the best thing ever, but it's not terrible either. With the iPhone 16e, this phone is going to be giving you a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this panel is definitely better in my personal opinion. I do think this is a much sharper looking panel. It does look really, really good. It's about the same type of brightness, so it's not really anything super crazy there. It's about the same exact thing as you'd probably expect. So I think that in and of itself is another really, really big takeaway here. The notch is also smaller on the iPhone 16e. So that is kind of one of those things to keep in mind there too. But, I will tell you there's also less bezel on the iPhone 16e as well, but it kind of has the same shortcomings. The brightness isn't that high, and it's also a 60 Hz panel too, which is also a really big disadvantage when it comes down to that side. On the bottom, you're getting a USB Type-C port on the iPhone 16e, whereas on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you're getting a Lightning port. So that right there is also another very big downside, I would kind of say for the most part, of the iPhone 11 Pro Max, is that you're getting Lightning. So I do think personally, in my personal situation, that is in and of itself another really big problem going on with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. With the 16e, getting USB Type-C is so much better, and I do think that is another really, really big thing to keep in mind there too. On the back side, you're getting frosted glass backs on both these phones. So having a frosted glass back, I think is a really nice thing. And if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, like I said before, definitely getting a phone that is going to be giving you a frosted glass back is a really, really nice thing. You're also getting a triple camera setup on the backside of the iPhone 11 Pro Max, where the iPhone 16e is giving you a single camera setup. So we'll take a look at that in a second because there's also a really big difference there too. They're both basically missing out on MagSafe, so both of them do not give you any sort of MagSafe capability when it comes down to that side, which isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it could be just one of those things to keep in mind there too. They're both giving you wireless charging, which is another really nice thing, and I definitely will tell you for the most part, if you're going to go through and pick up either one of these types of phones, that is kind of the biggest takeaway here for the most part, is that they both feel very good, but the iPhone 16e is the one that is a little bit more modernized than the iPhone 11 Pro Max, just by a little bit. When it comes down to the price tag, the iPhone 16e costs about $600. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is going to cost you probably around $200-ish for the most part. It's not going to be that super expensive of a phone anymore, maybe $300-ish, but it's definitely not going to be as pricey as you'd probably expect because this phone definitely still has a lot of capability. It just so happens that it's 6 years old now. Now on top of that, you're also still going to be going through and you're still going to be getting these camera setups. Now with the iPhone 16e, it's a single 2-in-1 camera. This thing is a 48 megapixel fusion camera, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max is going to be giving you this triple camera setup, ultra telephoto and wide angle lens. The thing you have to remember with the iPhone 11 Pro Max is that with that type of phone and that type of camera, its max zoom in was 2x. The iPhone 16e does have 2x zoom, so that is kind of an advantage there for that type of phone, and I do think that is a really nice thing going on for that type of device too. With the iPhone 11 Pro Max, I feel like with this type of device, this camera's main advantage is that 0.5x lens. So being able to go through and have that like 0.5x camera inside of it, I think is a really nice feature. And I do think if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, that is a really, really nice thing. So I do think this in and of itself is very cool. But I do feel like with the iPhone 16e, this camera is better. You're getting 4K at 60 on the front and the back. That camera is just kind of modified to be better, because it is just a better lens with a better chipset. And you're also getting visual intelligence inside of that phone too. So that, I would say, in and of itself is probably another one of those really big takeaways and really big features to kind of keep in mind there from that side as well. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to their software longevity, this is also another very big takeaway. With the iPhone 11 Pro Max, this is one of those phones that's still supported with software, and it is going to be supported with software for the next couple generations. So I do think that is kind of another really big thing to keep in mind here. If you're going to go through and like pick up a phone, I definitely do like having a phone on the iPhone 11 Pro Max that's still going to be supported with software even though it's older. But the iPhone 16e is going to be the one that's going to be supported with software for a much longer period of time. So the 16e is going to be one of those phones that's going to be giving you a really long software supported device. And I do feel like this is a really big thing to keep in mind here, right? This is one of those key takeaways. And I do feel like if I'm going to go through and pick up a phone, this is one of those things that I have to kind of keep in mind here if you're going to go through and pick up a device. So this is, without a doubt, in my personal opinion, another one of those really big takeaways there too. And when it comes down to their, battery lives, the iPhone 16e right now gives you 26 hours of video playback, where the iPhone 11 Pro Max gives you 20 hours of video playback. So this right there is another really big thing to keep in mind here too. Because if you're trying to go through and pick up the phone that's going to be giving you better battery life, well, the iPhone 16e, without a doubt, is going to be one of those phones that's going to be giving you a better experience there from that side as well. And finally, when it comes down to the performance, the iPhone 16e is going to be giving you the Apple A18 chipset inside with 8 gigs of RAM, where the iPhone 11 Pro Max is giving you that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigs of RAM. So in my personal opinion, this is another one of those really big things too, because with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, this type of phone is going to be giving you a very good type of experience. This type of device, for the most part, gives you really good, for the 16e, gives you Apple Intelligence, but also gives you really good capability because it has twice the amount of RAM as the iPhone, 11 Pro Max. So that is a really big advantage for that type of phone. And if you're going to go through and pick up a device, I think this is a really big takeaway from that side too. So kind of keep that in mind. But if I'm going to go through and pick up a phone, that is one of those types of devices that I definitely do look at from that particular side as well. So in my personal opinion, to kind of sum everything up, I will definitely tell you an iPhone 16e is probably one of those types of phones that I look at as being the better phone here for sure. That one is going to be giving you better capability, better quality. That one is definitely going to be the one that is probably going to be the better one for the everyday average person. However, with that being said, I will still tell you for the most part, if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, I think you can buy an iPhone 15 Pro or one of those types of devices and probably get an overall better experience for the most part than either one of these types of devices for the most part. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.